Hello! Just recently we have visited Natalia Sorokina to shoot the tutorial on how to make forms we want to be based on. So we've decided to arrange a return visit as soon as possible. So today the Sorokins are visiting us and we are shooting a short tutorial on the pattern to many viewers liking. I've been admiring it as well and I'd like to get to know the details of how to make it. But I realize very well that seeing the scheme is one thing, while watching the way a skilled weaver is making it is much more useful in the terms of training. So today we are going to watch Natalia weaving the whole pattern. Good day! On the New Year's Eve I displayed such a woven basket or casket on Strana Мастеров website. I found the pattern while roaming the web. It has come to my liking, so I've gotten to know it, noted down the text, drawn the picture and tried to render it. I've read the comments that many viewers have liked it too, and they would also like to reproduce it. So today we are shooting the tutorial. As a matter of fact, it is based on printed cotton weave. That's why it doesn't require any special skills. But I'd like to dwell on some details and to propose you the scheme and the text. By the way, Ira Penkina has woven the casket with such a pattern, and many viewers have commented that the pattern looks like waves, so we've decided to call it the waves as well. So what do we start from? First of all, as I've already written, the number of the poles has to be divisible by 16. The more the better. In my case, the article is round. I believe if it were oval or rectangular, the pattern would be seen more clearly. The pattern has to be repeated at least 3 times. It means that the number of the poles has to be 48 or 64, for example. As for the height, the pattern has to be repeated every 16 rows as well. So, if the article is 16 rows high, the pattern will be almost unseen. In my case, I managed to repeat the pattern only twice. The height of my poles didn't allow me to repeat it any times more. But the more times you repeat the pattern, the better, so we may conclude that this pattern will look especially nice on large articles. What to pay attention to? In the original source where we have found the pattern, the poles are thicker. So you can either roll them around a thicker knitting needle and they will look nicer, or make them cardboard. Or one can as well make the poles double, but in this case the weaving has to be especially neat, because doubled poles have to look as an integral unity and not to draw any extra attention. I've made the poles single, but tried to place them as close to each other as possible. Look, there is only about a centimeter's interval between the neighboring poles. What else? I have pressed my poles, flattened them. If you don't press the poles and work in tubes in this case, the volume is likely to make the pattern vague, while for some other patterns it is better not to press the tubes. What else to pay attention to? Sure, the pattern looks nice if the colors are contrast. Lena has prepared the form we are going to base our weaving on. The pattern is going to be made in orange and blue colors. There is a fragment of a napkin like this stuck to the bottom. The napkin is orange and blue as well, so blue waves will be placed on orange background. Actually, that's all. Now let's watch the very way we are going to perform it. So there are 48 poles we have here. I mark every 16th pole with different color to mark the beginning of the repeat. So here are my 16 poles. 16 poles 1, 16 poles 2, 16 poles 3. I have glued an additional tube. It doesn't matter in what direction to weave. For some patterns it does matter. In this case, because our pattern is based on printed cotton weave, it is of no importance in what direction to weave. So now let's look. Here I have drawn the scheme of the pattern. Because most weavers work from the left to the right, I have numbered the poles left to right and the rows bottom up. How to read the scheme? The black squares mean a working tube in front of a pole. Look, if I weave the first row left to right, then the first white square means that a working tube is behind a pole. Then there follow 3 black squares, which means that a working tube is to go in front of 3 poles. Then behind 3 poles, in front of 1. Behind 3, in front of 1, behind 2, in front of 2. After which the pattern repeats. I am personally used to weaving from right to left. So I'm going to weave like that. 2 black squares, which means a working tube in front of 2 poles. Behind 2 ones, in front of 1, behind 3, and so on. So here is a scheme you can read and weave each row. Beside the scheme, I have written the pattern down as a text. For me it is easier to follow the text. Or one can follow the text and check oneself according to the scheme. It's up to you. Both these varieties are equal. Look. On this text scheme, gray squares mean a working tube behind a pole, while white ones mean a working tube in front of a pole. So I am reading in front of 2, behind 2, in front of 1, behind 3, and so on. Finish the row. So here is my first pole marked. I have glued the tube to the preceding one and start. Look once again. In front of 2. So I am leading a working tube in front of 2 poles. Then we see behind 2. So we are leading a tube behind 2 poles. Place the tubes tightly, don't rush. Turn the form and continue reading. In front of 1 and behind 3. So let's lead the tube in front of 1 pole and behind 3 ones. Let me repeat that I flatten a tube. Though I haven't tried weaving with volumetric tubes without flattening them. Maybe it would look nice as well. I hope you will make the one and let me see the way it looks. Anyway, we've just laid the working tube in front of 1 and then 3 behind 3 ones. So there follows in front of 1 and behind 3 again, so I'm leading the tube in front of 1 and behind 3. What's next? In front of 3, behind 1. Check yourself. We have finished the first repeat. Indeed, there is a second block of poles following, and this way we continue weaving the pattern.